Good morning. I'm so glad to be here. My train got cancelled this morning, so I'm glad I arrived, Alice and I. And it's also awesome to see so many product people in one place. So today we are going to talk about user personas and all the challenges around keeping them alive. I'm going to assume you know what user personas are, and if you don't, I hope you can have an idea at the end of my talk. Let me start from introducing you to Alice. This is Alice Organized. Hello. Alice works for Ocado. She's a manager of delivery drivers. She used to be a delivery driver herself when she joined, but today she's helping others to stay safe, to be on time, and basically whatever they need, she's there to help them. When she started the new job, she had to learn a lot, especially around IT solutions, which was actually challenging to her because she's not really a technical person. But it was definitely worth it. She loves the job, and she believes that being organized actually helps her to achieve her goals. A few words about me. I also work for Ocado, but I work for the technology side. So I'm close to technology, work with software developers, and other product owners, and Alice is close to the business. And if for some reason you want to know how to pronounce my surname, there is an instruction here. Okay, do we have any Ocado customers here? Awesome. But for people who don't know what we do, I have to briefly explain what we do. It's really brief. So the model is pretty simple. We have customers shopping online for their groceries. We have super awesome warehouse, which is fully automated, really interesting place to see. So if you ever have a chance to visit Ocado warehouse, please do. And then we have delivery drivers, these lovely people who deliver your groceries to the happy families. So the context for this story today is in stage 3, everything that happens during delivering the groceries. So, why are we here? Why are we talking about user personas? That's because everyone has a different perspective. So, if you look at Alice now, and I look at Alice, we are looking at the same Alice, but I can see something completely different than you. Now, I can explain to you what I see, but if you really want to know what I see, you have to come to this stage and look from my perspective. And this is what I was thinking a lot when I joined Ocado, this perspective. I looked around our office and realized, okay, we have relatively quiet office, very relaxed atmosphere, so, table football in the kitchen, sofas, bean bags everywhere, you get free coffee, free snacks every day. We have flexible time, so if you feel like working late, you can start late. If you are early bird, you can start at 7 if you want. And as you can see on this picture, we have plenty of hardware. If your laptop gets broken, or if you simply want to test something on a different device, you go to help desk, you get another device. Pretty good place to be. Now, how is it for our users, delivery drivers? Their environment is completely different. They work on noisy streets of London. They have to follow procedures. There is no way for them to decide, I don't want to go to this customer. No way, they do have to do everything we tell them. If they're hungry, sorry, but they can't eat inside the van, they definitely must be on time to the customers. They have to do whatever they can to be there on time, because this is what we promise our customers. And also, they have just one delivery device, which I brought to show you. If you are interested, I can tell you more about that. So this device, maybe it's not easy to break, but they only get one of these. So if this gets broken for some reason, they are left on their own. So these environments are completely different. So I was thinking, how the hell can we deliver software that will be usable for our users who live in completely different worlds? This is what I expected, that whatever we deliver, this will be the face of our drivers when they see it. I really didn't want that to happen, so this was when I thought we do need user personas. Just to explain to everyone, our users are very different than we are. But it's proving challenging. If you have an environment when people never used personas before, how do you convince these people to believe in some fictional characters and try to use them? That is a challenge, so I thought I do need to do it properly. I need to put a lot of effort into creating personas. I really wanted to do quantitative and qualitative research, but even that proved challenging. When I went to our data department, they said, but you know, you are the first person who is asking us about any data related to the drivers, so we don't really have anything. And you know, what do you really want to learn? You just said that your drivers have to follow procedures. They don't decide on anything. So what do you want to learn? Do you want to learn that they do what you tell them to do? So the most useful, in their opinion, data I got was the age of joining Ocado. It's pretty useless from persona's perspective. So I thought I'd focus on the qualitative research, but our drivers, they don't have email addresses, so forget surveys. They don't even stay in one place, because they come to the office for 10 minutes, print their paperwork, and off they go to customers. So how do you chase 5,000 people who are everywhere? So I did a lot. I didn't want to give up. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to tell you all about this, but I'm happy to expand on this later. My conclusion from this was that the research is possible, even when everyone tells you you can't do anything. Don't give up, keep doing stuff, and the more you do it, the more ideas you will have. What else can you do? And it doesn't have to be expensive. So let me jump to the conclusions. After doing the research for a while, I discovered we have 3 segments of our drivers. I call them look fast. These are the guys who worked for the company not for too long, and they want to be really efficient. They are usually younger, more technical, and they just want to do this job, maybe even swap the jobs and just finish as soon as possible and go home. We also have Robert Happy. A Robert would be a person who works for the company for longer. It's usually less technical, so you have to be really careful when you design new features for the software, because he got used to what he got, so don't change. And then the third segment, which I initially missed, is the segment of Albert's Lost. Albert is the person who joined as a delivery driver, but he never did this job before. So he thought he could do it, he had some exposure to customer service, we thought he would be great, we trained him for 5 weeks or so, and then after 5 weeks of training, he goes on road. Whoa, that's too complex for him, and he leaves the company. And that's not good, because even though this group is not massive, this is very costly for the company. So we should pay some attention to them. I was doing this research for a while. I came up with these personas, and in one of our meetings, I actually met Robert and Luke, and they matched the description so well. I thought, wait, I'm doing something right. So maybe it's time to introduce the personas to my team. But you need to be really careful. These people write code. How can I make sure that they will believe in some fictional characters now? You have to be really careful, because if you fail at introduction of personas, then it's not going to work. So instead of giving them full profiles that I already had, I thought I have to be more gentle. I have to do something else. So instead, I sent them all out, get out of the building. I asked them to become a delivery driver for a day. So for a day, every single person become the delivery driver and delivered groceries to real customers. And that was really, really good experience. It was actually a team building exercise, accidentally. Even though we spent the day everyone somewhere else, it still was really good to catch up the next day, and everyone had different problems, different stories to tell. It was really, really interesting. But drivers are not the only users of our systems. At least is the other one. So for this, I invited a Alice-like person to our team to have some kind of workshop. Coincidentally, it was a woman who looked very closely to Alice, but it's a pure coincidence. But I thought, it's great, it's fantastic. So the team is now ready to be introduced to personas. But even at this point, I thought, I can't just give them the profiles, full profiles. Instead, I created this infographic. And this is really good, because you present the team with the concept, but only with the high-level information. And this is more visually engaging, and it's easy to remember because they can easily compare the segments before they go into details. What worked really well here is showing not just personas' faces, but also the real environment. So the high-vis is an example here, but if you can make the persona's picture more realistic, more in the real environment, the better. So at this point, after we digested this, only then we went through all the profiles in details. We read them out loud, we discussed them, everyone could refer to their own experience, and I knew that they bought in, which was great. But there is another challenge. They do write code every day. You need to really constantly remind them, these are our users, they are different. If you fail at this, personas will die, because they will fade away, and people will revert to their original thinking, even without even realizing that. They will come back to thinking, oh, I'm the user, I know what users are like. So you need to constantly remind them. So this is when Alice appeared in the office. It was weird at the beginning, I know. But I was taking her to all our meetings, especially her favorites were sprint reviews. So she was sitting at the chair, like here, like everyone else, and I was asking the team, you presented awesome piece of work, but how much of this is Alice getting? And this shifted their perspective. They had to start using another language and think, okay, how much we are actually doing for the users, as opposed to all these technical stories. In this picture here, you can see the real Alice-like user who loved the concept so much that he was pretending in the meeting that he was Alice, and he was actually, this is the real picture, it's not staged, I promise. I have some colleagues here who can confirm that. But you can't do it for every persona. And if you have a lot of people in the company, you need to think, how can you share personas between different teams? So one of the ideas that worked for us was a mini profiles. Like you could print 4 of these on one page and just print the high-level information. So a picture, a name, a goal of the persona, just a minimum information. So this column, this pillar of personas is on the way to the kitchen. So everyone going for coffee can familiarize themselves with our personas. And this also works great as a reminder. So even if we don't want to print all the full profiles, you can just print a mini profile and stick on your screen. You know, it's definitely working well. What else we can do? My team had a physical storyboard. They met there twice a day for stand-up. So this is the simplified version. So for every user story, the real user story, we're sticking a face, persona's face, on the story. Why this is good? Because in a split second you can see how much you are actually doing for your users and how much it's technical in the background. And I bet, whatever you want, if you leave developers on their own for a while, these faces will disappear. They will just work on technical debt and all the technical stories. So it's a good tool to have the right balance. There's one more challenge that is often forgotten. If our users are so different, then they don't speak the same language. We thought about that in a few of our workshops when we were trying to explain to the user what happened, why something didn't work. But they just simply didn't get that. They said, stop, I do get your words, but I don't understand the meaning. And it does work both ways. So what we need to do is to make sure that our personas speak their own language, not our language. Otherwise, they will just appear fake. So, to remember about that, we also changed how we write user stories. I personally hate this format because this implies that there is just one user, which is usually not the case. So instead, we are quoting our users. We say, Alice said, or Luke said, and we use whatever they told us. In this example, Alice type person was asking us to just extend the free text box to have more characters. But they would never use these words. They don't understand HTML elements, so they wouldn't ever say that. So it would be, if I converted it to development thinking, it would be fake, because Alice would never say that. So, just to quickly summarize what I was talking about, personas creation. This is important. If you fail at this stage, don't even bother doing anything else. Personas introduction. Make sure that people who never heard about this concept, they give them a chance to get involved and believe in what we are doing. Personas visibility. Make sure you constantly remind people, these are our users, they are different. And the language. Make sure your personas are real, not fake. I think this is my cat. When I brought Alice home, my cat absolutely loved her. Slept with her, meowed to her. So I think we are doing something right. Just to leave you with something to take away, there are two books I recommend. The first one is Reasonable Size. The User is Always Right. If you never used personas, I'd recommend that. If you want to become an expert, there is this Bible, really big book, but it's really interesting. You can learn a lot of tricks from it. This is the persona life cycle. It's not a brand new one, but it's really good. So yeah, that's all from me. I hope I inspired you to invest in user personas. Thank you.